After starting 0-2, the Steelers have gone and won 5 in a row. Can they make it 6 in a row by beating the Packers? The Giants are still winless, but they take on a division rival this week. Were they finally able to overcome the odds? And which of these 5+ win teams was able to break an NFL record? All this and more coming up here on Tecmo Rewind. Hello everyone and welcome to Tecmo Rewind. I'm your host Joe, here to bring you all the highlights from around the league. Week 10 is in the books, finally done, and the playoffs are starting to come into view for some of these teams. Others, well, better luck next year. But we're going to get right into the highlights since we don't have much time, and we're going to start out in the West, specifically the Pacific Northwest, as the Seahawks hosted the Washington Commanders this week. First quarter, Geno Smith going to look carefully and throw for DK Metcalf, who's going to take this one into pretty deep Washington territory, getting to within the 30-yard line. That'll give the Seahawks good field position to start the game. However, when Geno Smith tries to run forward, he's eventually taken down by Cody Parton, so that means they have to rely on the leg of Jason Myers to make a 28-yard field goal, and it is good, so the Seahawks get on the board first 3-0. Ensuing drive to start for the Commanders, Howell going to drop back before getting taken down by Bobby Wagner, the last remaining member of the Legion of Boom, so the Washington is forced to punt. On the ensuing Seahawks drive, though, Smith going to get taken down from behind by Jonathan Allen. A couple plays later, Smith going to try and run forward yet again before getting taken down by Jamin Davis, so that means they have to rely on a 54-yard field goal by Jason Myers. It's good this time, once again, making it 6-0 Seattle. On the ensuing Commanders drive, Howell once again gets caught and taken down by Bobby Wagner. But they drive down the field still, and Howell, play action, roll to his right, going to throw for Scary Terry. Terry McLaurin going to make it a 7-6 lead for the Commanders. On the Seahawks' next drive, Smith going to throw over to his left for what was supposed to be Jackson Smith and Jigba. Instead, he finds Cameron Curl, who's going to take this one all the way back to about the 3, setting up extremely good field position for Brian Robinson to punch it in for a touchdown, 14-6 Commanders. Jason Myers would then kick another field goal later on in the Seahawks' drive, making it 14-9, Washington still having the lead. Howell with the play action, roll to his right. He's going to throw across the field for Brian Robinson. That's a bad move because Quandre Diggs there to pick him off. On the ensuing drive for the Seahawks, DK Metcalf going to get this touchdown in the back of the end zone, make it 16-14. On the Commanders' next drive, very end of the second half, Jahan Dotson makes a diving catch, and he is going to score this one to make it a 20-16 game because Joey Sly, unfortunately, been having problems with kicking extra points all game. Commanders would get the ball back to start the second half, and Antonio Gibson going to take this one back to about the 31, but he fumbles the ball, and Bobby Wagner picks it up, taking it back. So the Seahawks start the second half with the ball. Smith going to throw for DK Metcalf to start the second half for a touchdown, 23-20 Seahawks. Howell will hook up with Terry McLaurin, though, for a touchdown to make it 27-23. Seahawks on their next drive, going to hand it off to Kenneth Walker. He gets the touchdown, makes it 30-27, but Howell won't be stopped. He's going to throw over the middle for Terry McLaurin for another touchdown, 33-30 though, because again, Joey Sly, extra point, no good. Seems to be a problem he's been having all year. On the ensuing kickoff return though, Zach Charbonnet going to be injured on this kick return, so that means rookie Kenny McIntosh will come in for kick returns and punt returns. Ensuing drive for the Seahawks, Smith going to throw for Noah Fant to his right, leaps up to get this one into Commanders territory, and he will be taken down at about the 13-yard line. To start the fourth quarter, Smith going to patiently wait before throwing for DK Metcalf, his favorite target, for a touchdown, 37-33. But the Commanders won't be stopped yet. Brian Robinson runs it in for a touchdown, make it 40-37. Commanders would get the ball back, and Howell play action roll to his left before throwing to Brian Robinson. Unfortunately, he finds Tariq Woolen instead. Seahawks would drive down the field, and DK Metcalf gets yet another touchdown to make it 44-40. So the Commanders still have some hope in their eyes, right? Howell going to drop back before he's taken down by Draymond Jones. Very next play, Howell, play action, throws over for Curtis Samuel, incomplete. Third down, Howell, play action, throwing for Scary Terry yet again over the middle, incomplete there. So it's 4th and long. Howell needs something, but unfortunately he will get sacked by Bobby Wagner, and the Seahawks just going to add more pain with a Kenneth Walker touchdown. 51-40, the Seahawks pull away with the victory. They head to LA next week, whereas the Commanders drop to 4-5, and they get their own division rival by taking on the New York Giants. The Raiders hosted one New York team last week. Now they're hosting the other in the New York Jets. First quarter, Rodgers going to try and run forward before he is eventually wrapped up and taken down by Jerry Tillery. They rely on Greg Zuerlein's leg for the points, and Zuerlein going to kick this field goal to make it 3-0. Jets go up on the board first. On the ensuing drive for the Raiders, their first drive of the game, Jimmy G going to get taken down from behind by Carl Lawson, so they'd be forced to punt. Aaron Rodgers, however, going to get wrapped up and taken down by Divine Diablo. And then on the very next play, Divine Diablo gets to Rodgers yet again, so they'd be forced to punt. On the Raiders' next drive, Jimmy G. Play action, roll to his right. Who's he going to look for? Nobody. Quinnen Williams is going to take him down. But they keep driving down the field, and Garoppolo, dropping back, tries to run forward. Quinnen Williams gets to him yet again, so that means they have to rely on Carlson's leg. Daniels Carlson kicks this field goal to tie the game up at 3. On the Jets' next drive in the second quarter, Rodgers going to throw for Garrett Wilson, and Wilson deep into Raiders territory. He's going to get into the red zone. That should set up the Jets for good field position, right? Well, Rodgers going to throw for Garrett Wilson yet again on the very next play. So, yeah, 10-3 Jets. I'd say that's good field position, but the Raiders would drive down the field as well. Garoppolo going to throw for Davante Adams to make it a 10-all game. To end the second quarter, Greg Zuerlein tries to kick for the extra 3 points, and he gets it on the field goal, 13-10. Second half, Garoppolo going to throw for Hunter Renfrow. Instead, he's picked off by DJ Reed. On the ensuing drive for the Jets, Rodgers patiently waits before throwing for Garrett Wilson, who gets the touchdown catch right here to make it a 20-10 lead for the Jets. Then Garoppolo going to throw for what he assumed was Davante Adams. Instead, he found a different Adams in Tony Adams. So on the Jets' next drive, unfortunately, Dalvin Cook fumbles, but he fumbles it out of bounds, which is good for them. They keep driving down the field, and Max Crosby gets a sack on Rodgers. A couple plays later, Rodgers going to throw for Allen Lazard in the end zone to make it 27-10. On the Raiders' next drive, Garoppolo going to get wrapped up and taken down by Michael Carter. So they keep driving down the field a little more. Garoppolo, play action, roll to his right. Who's he looking for? Davante Adams. And this time, he connects with him. Davante not quite able to score, but it does allow Josh Jacobs to get the touchdown here. It's still 27-17. Jets have the lead. On the next Raiders drive in the fourth quarter, Garoppolo going to get taken down by C.J. Mosley in the backfield. They have to go on to 4th and 18. Garoppolo dropping back, going to throw for Jacoby Myers. Instead, he finds Reed yet again. That is not good for the Raiders, and Rodgers, well, this is good for them. Divine Diablo gets a sack on him, but a couple plays later, Rodgers just patiently waits before finding Garrett Wilson, who leaps up to get this touchdown catch to make it 34-17 Jets. On the ensuing kickoff, Carter going to take this one to about the 17 before he fumbles it. Fortunately for him, Hunter Renfrow is there to secure the fumble and take it even farther, getting to midfield. Almost got into Jets territory. Very next play, Garoppolo dropping back patiently before throwing for Davante Adams, who leaps up to get this touchdown, making it 34-21. Jets will not allow the Raiders to come back, though, if they can help it. Dalvin Cook going to punch it in for a touchdown, makes it 41-24. Jimmy G tries to do something, but Carl Lawson going to take him down. Then, in the end zone itself, Garoppolo barely escapes before Michael Carter takes him down. So it's 4th and 18. They're on their own 1. Garoppolo, play action, roll to his right. He's got to look for somebody. Throws from Myers, and unfortunately he finds Sauce Gardner instead. That gives amazing field position for the Jets. You just punch it in with Dalvin Cook for a 48-24 lead. Jimmy G runs into a lineman before taken down by Michael Carter. But a couple plays later, Jimmy G, play action, roll to his right, You know who he's looking for, Devontae Adams. And Adams, well, the game is over, but he's still going to show off a little bit. 48-31, though, the Jets come away with a decisive victory. But they've got a big game next week as they head to Buffalo. As they go to 5-3, the Raiders drop to 3-6, and they have a game against the Dolphins in Miami to go to next week. The Vikings have been struggling, and they're hoping to right the ship against the Saints, who just got Derek Carr back this week, so this might be trouble for Minnesota. First drive for the Saints. Carr, all sorts of time, just patiently waits before throwing for Michael Thomas, who's already close to the end zone and gets the touchdown. 7-0 Saints take the lead first. Cousins tries to run forward, but Cameron Jordan gets the sack on him, so they have to punt the ball. On the Saints' next drive, though, Khyiris Tonga gets the sack on Carr. A couple plays later, though, Alvin Kamara going to get the screen pass here and going to get the first down. Unfortunately, though, he's going to fumble, and it's going to get recovered by a Caleb Evans, who's going to take it back the other way. He's going to break the one tackle needed, and he's going to make it a scoop and score for the Vikings to tie the game up at 7. On the Saints' next drive, Khyiris Tonga gets to Carr yet again, so they have to rely on Blake Grupe's leg for the field goal. He does get the lead, though, for the Saints to make it 10-7. On the ensuing Vikings drive, Cousins tries to run forward yet again. Nathan Shepard takes him down. Second quarter, Carr going to throw for Rashid Shaheed. Unfortunately, he's going to find Byron Murphy. Vikings would be forced to punt, though, so the Saints going to hand it off to Alvin Kamara, who's going to dodge and weave around Vikings defenders for a touchdown. 17-7 Saints. Ensuing Vikings drive, Cousins gets strip sacked, and it's recovered by Alontae Taylor, who takes it in for a score. It's 24-7. On the kickoff return, Ty Chandler going to get hurt on a return that only took him to about the 13.5. So, who's going to come in for the Vikings on kick returns? It's going to be Myles Gaskin. On the Vikings drive right here, Brian Brees going to get the sack on Cousins. A couple plays later, Cousins going to get taken out by Alontae Taylor. This has not been going well for them all game. Carr going to run forward on the next drive for the Saints, and Dean Lowry going to take him down. A couple plays later, though, Carr dropping back, waiting patiently, tries to run forward to get better look at the field, but D. Lowry there to take him down. So the Vikings get the ball in the second half to start. Cousins looks and throws for Jordan Addison. A deep bomb by Cousins. No one anywhere even in the atmosphere of Addison. It's 24-14. On the ensuing kick return, Rashid Shaheed. He's going to take this one back to about the 37. That sets up some pretty good field position for the Saints. Carr going to throw over the middle for Michael Thomas. He's going to take this one all the way to about the 3-yard line. That's all right, Carr says. I'm just going to give it to Alvin Kamara, my best weapon. Makes it 31-14 Saints. Vikings need some help, and they need it desperately. They're not going to get it, though, if Cousins is going to get wrapped up and taken down by Cameron Jordan. But they're still in good field position, so Cousins is just going to hand off to Alexander Mattison a couple plays later for the touchdown. It's 31-21. Vikings need some help on defense now. Derek Carr tries to run forward and throws for Rashid Shaheed. Fortunately, he finds Karen Bynum in this case. And the Vikings on their next drive. Cousins going to throw for C.J. Ham. Unfortunately, he throws a pick right to Paulson Adebo. But the Saints would be forced to punt. Vikings on their next drive. Play action. Cousins going to look and throw for Justin Jefferson, who's in the end zone. Makes it 31-28. But the Saints going to add on to their points with now Kamara punching from 1 yard out. 38-28. On the ensuing Vikings drive, a throw for Jordan Addison. Addison gonna try and save this game for the Vikings, and he's gonna take it to about the 7. They need to score and then get the ball back immediately, and Alexander Mattison gonna punch it in for the touchdown. The Saints would be forced to punt, so the Vikings in desperation mode. Addison gonna take this one to about the 34.5. They have to get a field goal to tie it up. End of the regulation if they can get this one. Greg Joseph's kick, it goes through. So we go to overtime up in Minneapolis. The Saints call heads. It's heads. So they're going to get the ball first. They're going to get the first chance with it. Rashid Shaheed. He is going to show why he's just as impressive as every other kick returner in the league. Gets to about the 34-yarder. They've been doing great work, the kick returners. On the first play of scrimmage for overtime, Kamara going to get the first down. So, very next play, down. Derek Carr throws for Michael Thomas, incomplete. Second down. Carr patiently dropping back. Doesn't have much time. Does get it off to Rashid Shaheed. They're going to measure it, and they're going to say he's got the first down. Very next play after that, Carr. Play action? No, it's an actual handoff to Alvin Kamara, but he doesn't get far enough. This very, very careful throwaway by Carr. Almost got caught by Rashid Shaheed anyway. Then this throw gets deflected, so the Saints have to rely on a field goal. They're going to kick it from Blake Grupe. He's got to make a pretty deep one. This looks from about 50-plus yards, but it's no good. Doinks off the left upright. It had the distance, so the Vikings get a chance to try and end their struggles. Madison doesn't get the first down, and Demario Davis does get a sack on Cousins, so it's third down and pretty long. Cousins barely gets it off in time for Justin Jefferson, who gets the leaping touchdown grab. Walk-off touchdown from Justin Jefferson. Wow, Vikings get another walk-off touchdown against the Saints. 44-38. The Vikings, hoping to finally stop their skids, go to 5-4, and they take on Denver next week in Denver. New Orleans gets a bye week after going to 2-7, but they take on Atlanta in Week 12 in Atlanta. Now on to our game of the week, where the Texans took on the Bengals. First quarter, C.J. Stroud going to get wrapped up and taken down by Logan Wilson. A couple plays later, though, Stroud patiently throws for Nico Collins. And Collins going to make this a touchdown to make it 7-0 Texans up first. On the Bengals' next drive, Burrow going to connect with Jamar Chase, his fellow LSU alum. And he is going to take this one pretty deep into Texans territory, all the way to about the 24. A couple plays later, Burrow tries to run forward, but Sheldon Rankins gets to him. So they have to rely on the Evan McPherson field goal to get points. Texans go up, still have the lead, but it's 7-3 now. Stroud in shotgun formation, dropping back before patiently waiting and throwing for Robert Woods. And Woods going to take this one to the 10-yard line. So it's first and goal position, and Dameon Pierce going to break 2 tackles before getting the score here, 14-3 Texans. On the ensuing Bengals drive, Joe Mixon fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by the Bengals, thankfully. So just hand it off to him again, and Mixon going to run this one into deep Texans territory. Gets into the red zone to about the 16. That allows him to set up Joe Mixon, running it in for the score to make it 14-10. Next Texans drive, C.J. Stroud going to get wrapped up and taken down by DJ Reader. But they keep driving down the field, and Dameon Pierce punches in for a touchdown to make it 21-10. Bengals will be forced to punt, and the Texans, Stroud breaks the tackle before throwing for Robert Woods for another touchdown. It's 28-10. Near the end of the second quarter, a throw for T. Higgins is going to go pretty dang far, all the way for a touchdown. That's going to make it a 28-17 game. But Stroud to end the second. However, the second quarter going to end when C.J. Stroud looks and throws for what he was supposed to be a throw for Robert Woods. Instead goes for B.J. Hill. He's going to take it all the way back, going to prevent the Texans from scoring. But unfortunately, he's going to be stopped short of being able to score himself. So, third quarter, here we come. But the Bengals are still behind. Fortunately for the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson gets a good sack on C.J. Stroud, so they're forced to punt. On the ensuing Bengals drive, they drive down the field, and Burrow patiently waits before throwing for T. Higgins in the end zone for a touchdown. Makes it a 1-point game. The Texans won't let it stand like that, as Dameon Pierce going to run it in for a touchdown and make it 35-27. On the Bengals' next drive, though, first play from scrimmage, Burrow going to throw for T. Higgins, and Higgins, he's going to take this one into deep Texans territory to set up good field position in the fourth quarter for the Bengals. A couple plays later, Burrow, plenty of time, throws for T. Higgins, and Higgins going to score here to make it 35-34, still a 1-point game. Pierce going to get injured on this run, which is going to take him out of the game, which means that the Texans now have to rely on the backup in Devin Singletary for the running plays. Bengals would get the ball back as the Texans would be forced to punt. Burrow tries to run forward, but unfortunately he's taken down by Denzel Perryman. Very next play, Burrow going to get swarmed and taken down by Jonathan Greenard. After the Texans punt the ball back after the Bengals punt, Burrow going to get wrapped up and taken down by Malik Collins. But they keep driving down the field and keep pushing. Joe Mixon going to take this one pretty dang far. Can he? Could he? Will he? No, but he will get to within the red zone. That's good enough for Evan McPherson to make the field goal to finally get the Bengals the lead. Makes it 37-35. So it's desperation mode for the Texans. First play of scrimmage on their next drive. Singletary doesn't get too far. Then Stroud in shotgun formation, going to throw it out of bounds. Third down. Stroud dropping back before getting wrapped up, and he's finally taken down by Logan Wilson. So it's 4th and 16. Texans need something right here. Stroud going to try and throw for Dalton Schultz. It's incomplete. However, the Bengals would lose Joe Mixon on this almost a touchdown as he's taken down at the 1-yard line. So that means they have to rely on a backup of their own in the form of Travion Williams instead. Fortunately, though, Bengals, Travion Williams tries to make a good impression as he gets a touchdown to give the Bengals a very close victory here. 44-35. The score doesn't say everything here. Texans drop to 3-5, and they get a breather next week, hopefully, against the Arizona Cardinals. Cincinnati, meanwhile, they improved to 6-2, but they got a tough division battle against Baltimore. Speaking of the Ravens, they had a big battle against the division-leading Browns. Jerome Ford making his return for Cleveland. First quarter, Browns would drive down the field. Watson going to toss it for Nick Chubb for a 1-yard punch in to put the Browns up 7-0 to start the game. On the Ravens' first drive, Jackson going to get wrapped up and taken down by Myles Garrett. They'd be forced to punt. Going to get handed the ball, and he's going to break 2 tackles and dodge even more potential tackles as he gives the touchdown to make it 14-0 Browns. On the Ravens' next drive, Jackson going to get taken down by Za'Darius Smith. Forces them back, but they drive down the field a little more. But Anthony Walker would get another sack on the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Jackson going to play action and roll to his right. He's got dangerous legs, but he's got just as great of an arm as he throws for Odell Beckham Jr., who's going to score to make it 14-7 Cleveland. On the next drive for the Browns, Watson going to throw it for David Njoku, who barely avoiding a potential interception. However, it's 20-7 because Dustin Hopkins' extra point gets blocked. On the Ravens' next drive, Lamar going to play action and roll to his right, but the defense is waiting for him. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. That's a long name. He gets the sack. They keep driving down the field, but Jackson tries another play action roll to his right, and Owusu-Koramoah gets another sack on him. So they try to rely on a 60-yard field goal by Justin Tucker. And of course he makes it because he's Justin Tucker. 20-10, Browns have the lead, but they're going to make it 23-10 off Dustin Hopkins' leg. Second half, Lamar has plenty of time. He's going to throw for Rashad Bateman to get the touchdown here to make it 23-17. On the ensuing kickoff return by the Browns, Jerome Ford, unfortunately, is injured yet again. He just came off of the injury list, so that means they're going to have to rely on Pierre Strong Jr. instead. On the Ravens' next drive, since the Browns were forced to punt, play action roll to his right goes Lamar. He throws for OBJ in the end zone. It's a touchdown. On the ensuing Browns drive, Amari Cooper was supposed to get this catch, but instead it goes to Marlon Humphrey. Ravens would drive down the field, and Jackson gonna patiently wait before throwing for Mark Andrews. And it's 31-23. A reminder, the Browns had a pretty sizable lead to start this game. Then Watson avoids getting tackled before throwing for the Peoples-Jones. Donovan Peoples-Jones gonna nearly avoid getting a tackle, but he's in the red zone, and that'll help set up the Browns for good field position. Unfortunately for the Browns, Watson going to get wrapped up before he's finally taken down by Broderick Washington, so they have to rely on Dustin Hopkins' leg. 31-26, Ravens still have the lead, and they would get the ball and drive down the field. Lamar, play action. No, it's an actual handoff to Gus Edwards for a touchdown, 38-26. Ensuing drive for the Browns, Watson going to get taken down by Michael Pierce. A couple plays later, Watson can get taken down by Justin Matabike. So 4th and a mile to go. Browns need a miracle here. Watson in his own end zone, his pass deflected. So this one all but seals the game away. And it sealed away even more as Lamar just going to run it in himself. That's going to help the fantasy owners. 45-26 Ravens. But the Browns won't go down easily. Pierre Strong Jr., he's going to dodge and weave all around. Hey, Jerome Ford may not be available to play right now, but I'm just as good, he says. Watson get a play action and roll to his left before throwing for Amari Cooper. And Cooper going to take this one all the way for a touchdown. Makes it 45-33. They tried for the onside kick. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it. On the Ravens drive, Jackson going to throw for Gus Edwards, who's going to score the touchdown, makes it 52-33. On the Browns' next drive, Watson, play action, roll to his left as a man goes flying. He throws for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper, can he? Could he? Will he? Not if the Ravens defense has anything to say about it. That has been their pride and joy since they came into this league. Just Matt BK would then get a sack on Watson. That forces them back a little bit. Watson going to play action and roll to his left. He's going to try and run it himself this time. And this time, he will score it himself for the touchdown. But it does not matter. Even with that touchdown, the Ravens come away with a surprise upset victory, 52-40. They take on the Bengals next week, like we said. Meanwhile, Cleveland, they dropped to 6-2, and they have a division rival of their own to take on. They have to take on Pittsburgh. Baltimore improves to 4-5 after starting 1-5. Now on to the Panthers, taking on the team that let them draft their rookie sensation in the Bears. The kickoff return by D'Onta Foreman here get taken all the way back to about the 43.5. That should give good field position for the Bears to start the game. This throw for Khalil Herbert, though, gets picked off by Shaq Thompson. That allows Bryce Young to carefully wait and throw for DJ Chark. He had all sorts of time, but he just decided, hey, why not make both me and DJ look impressive? A touchdown for the Panthers makes it 7-0. Bears would be forced to punt, and on the ensuing drive for the Panthers, Young gonna throw for DJ Chark yet again. Get used to me saying that if you haven't already gotten used to me saying that whenever Panthers highlights come up, because it's gonna happen a lot today. 14-0 Panthers take the lead very early on. However, on the Bears' ensuing drive, Peterman gonna play action roll to his right for his life before throwing for a quick pass for Darnell Mooney, makes it 14-7. On the next drive for the Panthers, DJ Chark yet again scores a touchdown, 21-7. Carolina has a big lead. On the ensuing drive for the Bears in the second quarter, Peterman going to run for his life. Barely gets it off in time for former Panther DJ Moore, who was in that trade in order for them to draft Bryce Young. So it's 21-14. The Panthers still have the lead, but Tremaine Edmonds gets a sack on Bryce Young for about a yard back. A couple plays later, going to throw for DJ Chark, and Chark going to take this one into Chicago territory, moderate Chicago territory actually. And that'll help to set up a good field position as Young going to throw for Chark yet again, who leaps up to get this catch for a touchdown to make it 28-14 Carolina. On the ensuing kickoff return by the Bears, D'Onta Foreman going to dodge and weave. He might be on a team next year that actually uses him for more than kick and punt returns, or he might even be starting as a kick returner next year. A couple plays into the drive, Peterman going to throw for Khalil Herbert, but once again, it's picked off by Shaq Thompson. Man, I'm feeling like I'm getting deja vu, and he goes even further into the Bears' territory, sets up good field position for Bryce Young. Unfortunately for him, Andrew Billings there to take him down. A couple plays later, Young tries to run forward, gets wrapped up before taken down by Tremaine Edmonds. So that means they have to rely on Eddie Pinheiro's leg. Field goal on the way is good, make it 31-14. Third quarter, Young going to try and run forward, but gets taken down by Justin Jones from behind. A couple plays later, Young patiently waits before throwing for DJ Chark, who gets an amazing-looking grab here. Threading the needle by Young, gets the touchdown for a 38-14 Panthers lead. On the ensuing punt return, since the Bears were forced to punt, Khalil Herbert gets a recovered fumble off Raheem Blackshear and nearly scores with it. That sets up good field position for the Bears, right? Well, Khalil Herbert going to try and run it in, and he scores. Makes it 38-21, but they'd be forced to punt the ball back, and this throw for Hayden Hurst picked off by Jalen Johnson. In the Bears' drive, 3rd down and 5, Peterman going to hand it off to Herbert, and Herbert going to take this one for a 1st down, but he's going to fumble the ball, and it's going to bounce around before it gets recovered by Xavier Woods. What a defensive impact he has had on this league. Unfortunately for the Panthers, they'd be forced to punt, but when Peterman tries to play action roll to his right, Brian Burns there to get the sack on him. The Bears would punt, but the Panthers would punt it right back. On a 1st and 10, Peterman going to hand it off to Khalil Herbert, and Herbert going to get injured on the run with 7 seconds left to go in the quarter. So that means they're going to have to rely on D'Onta Foreman to have to come in on running back. Bears quite banged up, it would seem. Peterman dropping back before he tries to run forward. He's unfortunately taken down by Frankie Louvu, who won't let him get any further. 4th quarter, This throw for Hayden Hurst is a touchdown, so that makes it 45-21 Carolina. On the ensuing drive for the Bears, Peterman throwing for Deontay Foreman. Unfortunately for him, Dante Jackson gets the pick. They would punt the ball right back, but that defense breaks through with a Shaq Thompson sack. 4th down, Peterman going to hand it off to Foreman, who is not going to get anywhere even close to where that set of downs started, so they'd be forced to give it back to Carolina. On the ensuing drive, DJ Chark just going to make his stats look even better. 52-21 lead for Carolina. Peterman does hand it off to Deontay Foreman, who's going to get the first down on a 4th down run, but it does not matter. The Panthers with a decisive victory, 52-21. They go to 7-1 and take on the Cowboys next week. Meanwhile, Chicago drops to 2-7, and they don't have much easier of a game as they have to head to Detroit. Now on to the Patriots hosting the Colts. Zach Moss makes his return for Indianapolis. That's good for them. To start this game, Mac Jones going to throw for Marcus Jones. He's going to leap up to get this pretty dang good-looking touchdown catch. Put the Patriots up first, 6-0, because unfortunately, Chad Ryland's extra point gets blocked by the Colts defense. On the Colts' first drive of the game, Richardson going to roll to his left. Didn't even play action that one. He's going to get the first down, and he's going to get taken down and injured. That is not something Colts fans want to see. The 4th overall pick from last year's draft is hurt, so that means Gardner Minshew comes in for them. They'd be forced to punt. On the Patriots drive, Mac Jones once again hooks up with Marcus Jones. Doesn't even need a leap to get this one. Just needs to run it all the way into the red zone because unfortunately not able to score. Colts defense does get to him, but that's all right. Ramondre Stevenson going to punch it in for the score to make it 13-6. I'm sorry, I meant 12-6 because once again, extra point locked. Colts would be forced to punt, and the Patriots, Jones to Jones, going to hook it up for another touchdown. This time, it's going to be 19-12 because, yes, the extra point does go through this time. Colts will be forced to punt. On the Patriots' next drive, Mac Jones going to get wrapped up trying to break it well in the second quarter before he's taken down by Grover Stewart. They'd be forced to punt. On the Colts' next drive, Minshew going to try and run forward, but he's taken down by Josh Uche. Colts would keep going, though. A couple plays later, Minshew going to throw for Josh Downs. Unfortunately, he finds Jabril Peppers instead, and Peppers, he's going to try to break a tackle and succeeds. He's got only one man to beat, and he does. It's a pick 6 for the Patriots defense. Makes it 26-0. To end the second quarter, though, Jones to Jones as he runs forward to connect with Marcus Jones. This one, he's going to dodge and weave. A couple defenders try to get to him, but that Colts secondary not able to stop Marcus Jones. Makes it 33-0. Von Godshow gets a sack on Gardner Minshew. That forces the Colts to punt. And Ramondre Stevenson going to drag a man in the end zone to make it 40-0. Lawrence Guy would get to Gardner Minshew yet again, but he would drive down the field a little more. Dietrich Wise would take him down while he's in the red zone, so that means they have to rely on Matt Gay's leg for some kind of points. Fortunately, it doinks in their favor, so it's 40-3. Fourth quarter, though, Chad Ryland going to make it another 40-point lead. It's now 43-3. This game is over, but the Colts just playing for pride now. Minshew going to get taken down by Marcus Jones, who's been pulling all sorts of crazy duty today on offense and defense. But a couple plays later, going to hand it off to Zach Moss, who just comes back from injury for a touchdown. 43-10, Patriots still have the lead. But Mac Jones going to run it in for himself for a touchdown. 50-10, the Patriots beat the Colts. Both these teams have bye weeks. The Patriots improved to 5-4, and next week, in Week 12, they head to New York to take on the Giants, who are winless. The Colts, meanwhile, drop to 2-7. They get a bye week next week before they take on Tampa Bay in Week 12. Fortunately for them, that game is in Indy. On to the Colts division rivals, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were hosting the 49ers this week. First quarter, Lawrence gets taken down by Nick Bosa, sending him back to midfield. They drive down a little bit more, and Brandon McManus going to try for a deep field goal. It goes through, so the Jaguars start off the lead 3-0. On the first drive for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, just give it to that man and he will eventually find the end zone for a touchdown. 7-3 San Francisco. On the ensuing drive for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, that defense gets to him and he's forced to fumble the ball. Javon Hargrave gets the recovery. So on the 49ers' next drive, just give it off to Christian McCaffrey. He'll find the end zone eventually for a touchdown. 14-3. 49ers have the lead. On the ensuing drive for the Jaguars after that, to start the second quarter, a fumble on a strip sack of Trevor Lawrence. Dre Greenlaw gets the pickup and takes it to about the 28. That'll have to set up Purdy hooking up with Brandon Ayuk, who dives for it, and it's deep enough that it's in the end zone anyway. 21-3. On the ensuing Jaguars drive, Lawrence going to get wrapped up before he's eventually taken down by Drake Jackson. Jaguars would be forced to punt. 49ers next drive, Purdy going to get wrapped up himself, taken down by Foley Fatsuki. But they keep driving down the field, and Purdy, waiting patiently all sorts of time, throws over the middle for Brandon Ayuk. He's already in the end zone by the time he gets it. 28-3. 49ers have the lead. Jaguars give it off to Travis Etienne, who gets fumbling on the ball. Charvarius Ward going to recover it and take it to about the 11.5. Very next play, Purdy going to hook up with Brandon Ayuk in the touchdown in triple coverage. Makes it 35-3. Jamal Agnew on the kick return will unfortunately get hurt. That is not something the Jaguars need right now. So that means they're going to have to rely on Tank Bigsby for both kick and punt returns. A couple plays left in the second quarter. Lawrence going to throw for Calvin Ridley. Unfortunately, he's going to find Tuanoa Hufanga, the safety. He's going to take it back to about midfield. Third quarter, Lawrence going to throw for Christian Kirk over the middle. Unfortunately, he finds Hufanga yet again. And this time, Hufanga's going to take it to about the 27.5. And since it's the third quarter, that means the 49ers get a chance to score. Deebo Samuel gets the touchdown catch here. Makes it 42-3. Ensuing drive for the Jaguars. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Lawrence gets taken down by Fred Warner, pushing him back into Jacksonville territory. They'd be forced to punt. 49ers, Purdy going to hook up with Brandon Ayuk in the next drive. It's a touchdown to make it 49-3. Ensuing drive for the Jaguars. Lawrence tries to drag a man out of being sack range, but Fred Warner will get the sack. They'd be forced to punt, and Brock Purdy tries to run forward, but Foye Oluokun gets the sack on him. A couple plays later, though, Purdy, in Jacksonville territory, waits patiently, throws for Christian McCaffrey, who's going to get to the end zone for the touchdown. Makes it 56-3. 49ers have a big lead here. Tank Bigsby going to fumble the ball on the ensuing kick return. It's recovered by someone on the 49ers. That'll help to set up Christian McCaffrey, breaking a tackle to run in for the touchdown. It's 63-3. 49ers have a 60-point lead. Ensuing drive for Jacksonville. We're in the fourth quarter now. Lawrence going to get taken down by Drake Jackson on fourth down. On the ensuing 49ers drive, Christian McCaffrey gets the handoff. It's 70-3. Remember, the Dolphins scored 70 earlier this year. Devon Hargrave gets a sack on Lawrence. They drive down the field a little more, but Nick Bosa gets the sack on him. It's 4th and 23. Lawrence in shotgun formation. Gonna run with it himself? This is a gutsy call. Fortunately, not going to get anywhere close to where that set of downs started. Devin Lloyd would get to Brock Purdy, but they keep driving down the field. Moody's kick is good. 73-3. The 49ers have broken the record for the most points scored in an NFL game. The Jaguars do get one last score. Zay Jones getting a touchdown catch, but it does not matter. The 49ers have broken the record for most points in an NFL game scored. 73-10. They improve to 6-2, and they take on the Buccaneers next week. Jacksonville drops to a measly 2-6. For the so-called favorites of the AFC South, they are struggling right now. And they take on the AFC South division leaders in the Tennessee Titans. Speaking of, the Titans and Buccaneers were playing each other this week. Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins make necessary returns for Tennessee. First drive for the Titans, Ryan Tannehill gets sacked by Devin White. A couple plays later, Tannehill going to get wrapped up. Tries to fight it, but he's taken down again, this time by Vita Vea. They'd be forced to punt. On the Buccaneers' first drive, Mayfield going to get sacked by Roger McCreary. So it seems like this is going to be a defensive battle. Kearis Jackson on the ensuing punt return is going to be injured, something that they unfortunately don't want to have happen, which means that Tyjae Spears is going to come in on kick and punt returns. Ensuing drive, Tannehill waiting patiently, carefully, throws over to his left for Chigoziem Okonkwo, and Okonkwo is going to get into deep Buccaneers territory for a first down. But they unfortunately can't quite do anything while in that territory, so they got to rely on Nick Folk's leg. He gets the Titans on the board first 3-0. Buccaneers would be forced to punt, but Devin White would get to Ryan Tannehill to send him back into Tennessee territory. They drive down the field a couple of plays, but Shaq Barrett then gets to the Titans, sending him right back into Tennessee territory, forcing them to punt. Ensuing Buccaneers drive. Mayfield tries to run forward, but Roger McCreary gets him. They drive down the field a little bit farther, but Mayfield in the second quarter going to get taken out by Danico Autry, so that means they got to rely on Chase McLaughlin for the field goal, but it's blocked by the Titans. It's recovered by the Buccaneers, but unfortunately not anywhere close to a first down, so the Titans get the ball right back. Tannehill gets another sack by Logan Hall, but they keep driving down the field, and Tannehill throws for Treylon Burks in the end zone for a touchdown, make it 10-0 Titans. But on the Buccaneers drive to end the second quarter, Mayfield gonna throw over in the middle for Cade Otton to make it 10-7. Third quarter, Buccaneers get the ball first, and the throw for O'Keefe, unfortunately picked off by Christian Fulton. A couple plays into the Titans drive, Tannehill gonna try and run forward, but he's taken down by Logan Hall yet again. So that means they gotta rely on Nick Folk's leg yet again. Makes it 13-7. Titans still have a pretty decent lead. The Buccaneers will be forced to punt, and on the ensuing drive for the Titans, Tannehill gonna play action, roll to his left, waiting patiently, throws for Treylon Burks, who's in the end zone by the time he gets it. It's 20-7. Fourth down in the fourth quarter for the Buccaneers. They're going to go for it. Rachaad White going to get tossed the ball. He's not going to get the first down, so the Titans get the ball back. Tannehill going to run forward, but gets taken down from behind by Vita Vea. So that means they got to rely on Nick Folk's leg yet again, and he does kick it through yet again to make it 23-7. He's been a pretty consistent kicker all year. Mayfield going to get sacked on the next drive for the Buccaneers, sending him back by Danico Autry's hand. So that makes it fourth down a couple plays later, 4th and 11. Mayfield tries to play action, but Azeez Al-Shaair, don't think we forgot about him. He gets the sack to turn it all over on downs. And Derrick Henry gets a 1-yard punch in later on in the drive to make it 30-7. On the next Buccaneers drive, Mayfield going to get strip sacked, and it's a scoop and score by the Titans. So that means that it's 37-7 Tennessee. This game's all but over at this point, but Tampa Bay does not want to go down without a fight. Chris Godwin going to take this one for a touchdown, make it 37-14, but Tennessee says, yeah, that's enough. Tannehill tosses it to Derrick Henry, and King Henry will not be stopped. The Titans come away with a big victory here, as Mayfield going to get taken down from behind by Tahir Tart to all but make sure this is an insult to injury. Tennessee wins 44-14. They improve to 5-3, and they take on Jacksonville next week in Jacksonville, like we said. And Tampa dropped to 2-6, and they head to San Francisco next week. Pretty big games for all the teams involved in those last two games. On to the Battle of Birds as the Falcons take on the Cardinals. The kickoff return by Cordero Patterson, though, for the Falcons to start the game. Going to take this one all the way back to the 41 for Atlanta. The Falcons get good field position. That'll help set up a Ritter to London touchdown here for the Falcons to go up for 7-0. Ensuing Cardinals drive, James Conner going to get tossed the ball for a touchdown and make it tied up at 7. On the Falcons' next drive, Ritter going to hand it off to Tyler Algier, but he's going to fumble the ball, and it's going to get recovered by Dennis Gardeck, who's going to take it into Falcons territory. That's good for the Cardinals. Josh Dobbs carefully waiting and throws to James Conner, but he's going to fumble the ball on that screen pass, bounces around a bit before it finally bounces out of bounds. They drive down the field a little bit more, and Matt Prater gets the field goal off to make it 10-7. Cardinals have the lead. Ensuing Falcons drive, they drive down the field, and Ritter gets an easy pass off to Drake London for a touchdown, makes it 14-10 Falcons. On the Cardinals' next drive in the second quarter, Dobbs going to throw for Rondale Moore. Unfortunately, he's going to find Calais Campbell, who takes it back to the 20 for the Cardinals, with the Falcons flipping the ball. And a toss for Bijan Robinson makes it a punch in to make it 21-10 Falcons. Ensuing drive for the Cardinals, Greg Dortch going to take this one pretty dang far. Going to get to about the 31.5. They keep driving down the field, and Dobbs going to throw for Marquise Brown, make it 21-17 on the Falcons still having the lead. Ritter dropping back on the next drive for the Falcons, throws for Bijan Robinson, or I guess it was supposed to be him. Instead, he finds Budda Baker, who's been a bright spot on the Cardinals all year. The next drive for the Cardinals, a throw for Connor, gets in on a screen pass. It's 24-21, and the Cardinals get the ball to start the second half. Greg Dortch, after breaking a tackle and dodging and bobbing and weaving and zigging and zagging all around the Falcons defense, or the special teams team anyway, gets too close to midfield. Dobbs gets a play action off a couple plays later and throws for Marquise Brown, who dives for it, and he's going to score a touchdown here. The Cardinals have a 10-point lead. Ensuing drive for the Falcons, Ritter going to get sacked by Jonathan Ledbetter, so that means they have to rely on Younghoe Koo's leg. Fortunately for them, Younghoe Koo is a pretty good kicker. 31-24, Cardinals' next drive on the kick return. Greg Dortch gonna show he is impressive, and despite the many injuries he's had, he's gonna fumble the ball, and it's gonna go right into the hands of Jeff Okudah, who's gonna take it back to about the 20. So the Falcons get another chance to score here, and Ritter gonna throw for Kyle Pitts, who's in the end zone for a touchdown, ties this game up at 31. Ensuing drive for the Cardinals, Dobbs going to throw for Michael Wilson. Unfortunately, he's going to throw it into the hands of Richie Grant. Falcons would drive down the field, and Ritter, with plenty of time, going to wait patiently before throwing for Mac Hollins in the back of the end zone. Makes it 38-31 Falcons. Greg Dortch, though, to end the third quarter, he will not be stopped. He wants to make up for last time. He's going to show how impressive he is. Help set up good field position for the Cardinals, but Dobbs going to get taken down from behind the line by Troy Anderson. That means Nat Brady's got to kick the field goal. He does get it through, doinking it off the left upright to make it 38-34, but the Falcons would drive down the field. They're going to toss for Bijan Robinson. He's going to score to make it a 45-34 lead. So it's fourth down in the fourth quarter. James Conner gets the toss, and he is going to be just short of the first down. That's not good for the Cardinals' chances. And Desmond Ritter running it himself for a touchdown, not going to help him even more. 52-34. This game is all but over, but Greg Dortch won't let it end like this. He's going to run as far forward as he can to try and set up good field position for the Cardinals. Josh Dobbs appreciates it. Unfortunately, Calais Campbell does not, and he takes him down in the backfield. So Dobbs in shotgun formation, waits patiently, throws for Marquise Brown. Brown going to get the first down and fumble the ball, and it's going to get recovered by Jesse Bates of the Falcons, who takes it back the other way. Atlanta comes away with what was supposed to be an easy victory, kind of a struggle win, 52-34. They improved to 6-3. Going to try and challenge the Panthers for the NFC South lead. They take on New Orleans in Week 12 because they have a bye week next week. Meanwhile, Arizona drops to 1-8. They take on Houston. Staying out west, the Chargers were hosting the Detroit Lions this week. The kick return to start the game, unfortunately, had disaster written on it for the Chargers, as Darius Davis would be injured on that kick return. So that means for kick and punt returns, they have to rely on Joshua Kelly. The Chargers would drive down the field, but Derek Barnes would get a sack on Justin Herbert. A couple plays later, though, Herbert, plenty of time, throws for Austin Eckler. Unfortunately, it's picked off by C.J. Mosley, who sends it back the other way. On the ensuing drive for the Lions, throw from Goff right to Amon-Ra St. Brown. We haven't heard that name for quite a bit for the past couple of weeks, so it's 7-0 Lions strike first. Chargers would drive down the field, but Cameron Dicker, the kicker, would unfortunately doink it off the left upright, so it's still a 7-0 lead. On the ensuing drive for the Lions, a throw for Jahmyr Gibbs is a touchdown to make it 14-0. Chargers next drive. Herbert, plenty of time, patiently throws before throwing for Gerald Everett, who gets the touchdown to make it 14-7. On the Lions next drive, Goff gonna get sacked by Joey Bosa. We haven't heard his name for quite a bit all season. Second quarter, still the same Lions drive though. Goff gonna throw for Josh Reynolds for the touchdown to make it 21-7 Lions. On the ensuing Chargers drive, Herbert gets it off to Austin Eckler, and this time it's a score, 21-14. Chargers still behind by 7. Lions would be forced to punt, and on the Chargers drive after that punt, Herbert drives down the field. Fortunately, he's going to get sacked by Charles Harris, sending him back a little bit. They keep driving down the field, and the handoff by Eckler punches in for a touchdown, ties the game up at 21. Ensuing Lions drive, Jahmyr Gibbs going to run it in for a touchdown of his own, 28-21. Lions still have the lead. On the next drive for the Chargers, Herbert going to get wrapped up deep in his own territory by Derek Barnes. Third quarter, Goff and the Lions start with the ball for the second half and hand off to David Montgomery. Montgomery not going to get the first down, and it gets worse as he is now injured, which means that Craig Reynolds is going to have to come in to replace him at running back for the time being. They'd be forced to punt, and on the Chargers' first drive of the half, Herbert That defense gets to him. Derek Barnes gets credit for the sack. They do get a little bit more yardage forward, but Dicker the kicker's field goal is blocked, and it's recovered by Emmanuel Mosley of the Lions. He sends it back pretty far the other way for a recovered fumble off a field goal. Khalil Mack would get to Jared Goff a couple plays later, but after that, Goff patiently waits and throws for Josh Reynolds, who gets the first down and more as he gets into Chargers territory. Pretty decent Chargers territory. Unfortunately, he fumbles the ball, and it's Alohi Gilman who's going to recover it, and he's going to take it back to about the 35 of the Lions. So, Chargers just give it to Austin Ekeler, punches in for a touchdown, ties the game up at 28. But the Lions would drive down the field on their next drive in the fourth quarter, and this throw for Josh Reynolds is a touchdown to make it a 35-28 game. On the kick return afterwards, Kelly going to break a tackle and break another one, it looked like, dodging and weaving like a boss around till he gets to about the 30. That helps to set up this Austin Ekeler touchdown run later on in the drive to make it tied up at 35. But the Lions would drive down the field themselves, and this handoff to Craig Reynolds as a touchdown makes it 42-35. Justin Herbert going to get sacked by Charles Harris back a few yards. So, 4th and 12 in the fourth quarter. 1:43 to go. Herbert going to try and run forward, but Alex Anzalone will not let him. So it's a turnover on downs. And the Lions just going to add on an insurance touchdown by Craig Reynolds for a 49-35 lead. Herbert would try a play action throw for Austin Ekeler, which would get pretty good field position if they could do anything with it. Unfortunately, they would not be able to, and the Lions come away with a bit of a struggle victory here, 49-35 over the Chargers. They improve to 7-1 and get a pretty easy game next week against Chicago. Meanwhile, the Chargers drop to 4-4, and they have to head to Green Bay to take on the other NFC North leading team, the Green Bay Packers. Speaking of the Packers, they were taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh this week. Aaron Jones makes his return for Green Bay. Pittsburgh would get the ball first quarter. Pickett patiently throws for Pickens. Unfortunately, it's picked by Rasul Douglas. Unfortunately, no pick there in his name. Anders Carlson would get the field goal later on in the drive for the Packers, so it's 3-0 Green Bay to start the game. On the next drive for the Steelers, another throw meant for Pickens is once again picked off by Rasul Douglas. So the Packers get the ball again. Jordan Love can get sacked by Larry Ogunjobi a couple plays later. So they can't quite drive down the field for a touchdown, but Anders Carlson tries for the field goal. Fortunately, it's just short, so it's still 3-0. Ensuing drive for the Steelers, Rashawn Gary gets the sack on Pickett. They do drive down the field a little more, but Chris Boswell has to come in to score the points for him. But his field goal is doinked, so it's still 3-0. But Anders Carlson would finally get another extra point of his own. 6-0, Green Bay has the lead. Still, on the ensuing drive for the Steelers to start the second quarter, Pickett throws for Pickens yet again, and Pickens going to take this one all the way for an actual touchdown, makes it 7-6. On the next drive for the Packers, Love going to try and run forward, but he's taken out from behind by TJ Watt. A couple plays later after that, Love going to carefully wait and throw for Luke Musgrave over the middle, and it's a touchdown to make it 13-7. Next drive for the Steelers, Pickett, play action, throws for Pickens. This time, no Rasul Douglas to pick him off, and instead, they're going to pick up a first down and then some into a first and goal situation. Pickett going to play action, roll to his left yet again before throwing for Pickens for a touchdown to make it 14-13 Steelers. The Steelers would get the ball to start the second half. Pickett tries for play action, roll to his left, but the defense ready for him. Devondre Campbell with the sack, and so the Packers get the ball back after a punt. They drive down the field, and Love going to try and run with it himself, and he will get that touchdown to make it 20-14. On the next drive for the Steelers, though, Najee Harris gets a punch in for a touchdown to make it 21-20. Next drive for the Packers starts with a kickoff return by Kayshawn Nixon. He's going to take this one to about the 31.5. Sets up pretty good field position for a Love connection with Romeo Doubs. Unfortunately, DeMonte Kazi gets the pick here to set up good field position for Pittsburgh. Pickett tries to play action roll to his left, but the defense once again expecting it. Rasul Douglas gets a sack this time on top of the 2 interceptions he had earlier. They'd be forced to punt, and the Packers would drive down the field. Anders Carlson's field goal would get a 23-21 lead for Green Bay. Steelers next drive. Harris going to take this ball and run away with it all the way into the red zone. Can he get the score? Not quite enough for the score. They finally eventually catch up to him, but that's all right, says Pickett. I'll just throw this one for Pat Fryermuth. Pat Fryermuth gets the touchdown, make it 28-23. We're still in the fourth quarter, by the way. Love throws for Aaron Jones, who tries to get into the red zone, but he fumbles the ball on the tackle. It's Minkah Fitzpatrick who recovers it. That Steelers defense has been their bread and butter all season long. They try for a play action roll to his left, but Rasul Douglas unfortunately gets the sack on Pickett. So, Kayshawn Nixon gets the punt return. Nixon going to take this to about midfield, and unfortunately, he's going to be injured on that punt return. So that means that they have to rely on Emmanuel Wilson. So Packers need some help here. Throw for Romeo Doubs, incomplete. Second down. This throw that goes for Luke Musgrave. Nice looking catch. It's a first down, but they're running out of time. It's on the 29.5. Next play, a toss for A.J. Dillon. Dillon going to break a tackle or two and gets to about the 26, to about the 24, but doesn't matter. A.J. Dillon tries to fight even more. Fights for as much yardage as he can, but he's running out of time. They got time for one more play on the 9-yard line. Love going to hand it off to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, he's short by 3 yards, and the Steelers sneak away with a victory here. The defense getting victory from the jaws of defeat, 28-23. Both these teams go to 6-2. The Packers, like we said, they get the Chargers next week. Meanwhile, the Steelers have a big division rivalry game next week at Cleveland. Broncos heading to Buffalo to take on a Josh Allen-less Bills. Marvin Mims returns for Denver. They might really need him. First quarter, after back-to-back punts, Kyle Allen tries to run forward, but he's taken down by Zach Allen. Very next play, Allen patiently waits as he drops back, tries to run forward, but he's strip-sacked, actually. The fumble is recovered by Alex Singleton. He's going to take it back to about the 11. Fortunately, they can't score a touchdown, but they can get some points with Will Lutz's field goal. Broncos get on the board first, 3-0. The next drive for the Bills, Allen going to play action roll to his right, but the defense waiting for him. Randy Gregory takes him down. Next play, Allen going to throw play action roll to his right yet again and throws for Stephon Diggs. Diggs, a reliable target for Buffalo. No matter which Allen is throwing to him, he's going to get into Denver territory and then a little bit more. He gets the first down. That'll help to set up this James Cook touchdown run to make it 7-3 Buffalo. Buffalo still got those weapons on hand for offense. On the ensuing kick return, Marvin Mims going to dodge and weave around Bills defenders as much as he can before he gets to the 40. That'll help to set up this Javonte Williams touchdown and make it 10-7. Broncos have the lead. Second quarter, Allen going to play action roll to his right. Isn't sure where he's going, but he's going to get strip sacked yet again. He's going to bounce around a bit before the Broncos finally recover. It's Frank Clark going to take it back the other way. Gets into pretty good field position for the Broncos. Fortunately, not able to get a touchdown off the deal, but they do get a field goal to make it 13-7. Any point is good point for Denver. On the ensuing kick return, Hardy is going to take this one dodging and weaving until he gets to about the 40-plus yard line. He's going to get to the 47. On the very first play from scrimmage, Allen, play action, roll to his right, gonna throw for Stephon Diggs. Diggs gonna leap up to get this one. No one anywhere in his vicinity. 14-13, Bills take the lead. Broncos would punt third quarter. Kyle Allen gonna play action, roll to his right, throw for Stephon Diggs. Diggs going to leap up yet again. What a connection, but he fumbles it immediately after he's taken down as soon as he lands. It's recovered by Justin Simmons. He's going to take it back into Buffalo territory for Denver, who's going to take it down to about the 40. A couple plays later, Wilson going to hand it off to Javonte Williams, and Williams going to run it in and go all the way for a score. 20-14, Broncos take the lead. Ensuing drive for the Bills. Toss for James Cook, who's going to run it in for a touchdown himself. 21-20, Bills still have the lead. Next drive for Denver. Wilson, play action roll to his left, but the defense waiting for him. Matt Milano with the sack. They'd be forced to punt, but the Bills would punt it right back anyway. On the next drive for the Broncos, another play action roll to his left. Matt Milano yet again gets to Russell Wilson for the sack, so they'd be forced to punt. Fourth quarter. Kyle Allen going to play action roll to his right, but this time the defense gets to him on Denver's side. Randy Gregory gets the sack. Bills forced to punt. Ensuing Broncos drive. Wilson, play action, roll to his left. waiting patiently. Throw is for Courtland Sutton. Sutton leaps up and gets this touchdown. 27-21 Broncos. 27-21 Broncos. Next drive for Buffalo. Allen tries to run forward, but Jonathan Harris gets the sack on him. A couple plays later, Allen in his own end zone tries to run forward. Gets run forward. Throws for Gabe Davis. Davis got the first down and more. He's into Denver territory before he's finally taken down at the 40. A couple plays later, Allen tries to run forward, but unfortunately taken down by Josie Jewell. So that means they have to rely on Tyler Bass with his leg. He doinks it off the left upright, but it's no good. So the Broncos still have a 27-21 lead. They're going to try and get insurance points, but Matt Milano going to get another sack on the play action roll to his left by Russell Wilson. But they do drive down the field. Wilson going to toss it for Javonte Williams, and Williams going to get the touchdown. Makes it 34-21. Kyle Allen needs some help. Tries to run forward, but Randy Gregory there to take him down. So a couple plays later, Allen in his own end zone tries to run forward, trying to push away from being a safety. DJ Jones does get the sack, but it's not a safety. They punt it, but Denver would punt it right back. Allen, play action. Throw for Davis. Gabe Davis, unfortunately, nowhere near him. Patrick Surtain gets the pick, and the Broncos pull off the upset victory in Orchard Park. 34-21. They get Minnesota next week as they go to 3-5. Meanwhile, Buffalo, their winning streak snapped. They go to 7-2, and they have to take on the Jets next week, who are starting to rise up in the ranks. Finally, we'll finish up with an NFC East rivalry. Saquon Barkley returns for the winless Giants as they take on the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to really need him. Cowboys would get a punt after the Giants' first drive. Unfortunately for them, Kevontae Turpin is injured on that punt return, which means they're going to now have to rely on Rico Dowdle for kick and punt returns. On the drive for the Cowboys, they drive down the field, and Tony Pollard's going to get this toss from Dak Prescott with the Cowboys up 7-0 to start. Giants won't punt the ball. But on the ensuing drive for the Cowboys, Dexter Lawrence gets to Dak. They drive down the field a little more, and Dak going to throw for CeeDee Lamb, easily the best weapon he's got on offense. Cowboys go up 14-0. On the next drive for the Giants, Daniel Jones going to get sacked by DeMarcus Lawrence. They drive down the field a little more, but they have to rely on Graham Gano's leg for points. It's 14-3. Cowboys next drive in the third quarter. Prescott going to get sacked by Dexter Lawrence yet again, sending them back. They'd be forced to punt. On the ensuing Giants drive, they drive down the field. Micah Parsons gets to Daniel Jones on a sack. A couple plays later, this throw for Darren Waller is in for a touchdown. It's 14-10 Dallas. Cowboys would actually punt on their next drive, and the Giants would drive down the field. Deron Bland gets the sack on Jones. So that means they have to rely on Graham Gano's leg. It's 14-13. Cowboys still have the lead. To end the second quarter, though, Brandon Aubrey going to kick a field goal of his own to make it 17-13. In the third quarter, the Giants kick another field goal. Graham Gano gets it doinked off the right upright, 17-16. On the Cowboys' next drive, Prescott throws for CeeDee Lamb. He's going to leap up to get this one, and he is going to take it all the way to the house for a touchdown to make it 24-16 Cowboys. On the next drive for the Giants, hand off to Saquon Barkley, and Barkley going to run it in for a touchdown, makes it 24-23. End of the third quarter, Tony Pollard going to dodge and weave around Giants defenders. He's going to get into Giants territory, and he's finally going to get taken down. He fumbles it, but he fumbles it out of bounds to secure it for Dallas. Fourth quarter, Brandon Aubrey in the same drive kicks the field goal to make it 27-23 Dallas. Ensuing drive for the Giants, Jones going to throw for Paris Campbell. Unfortunately, he's going to find Stephon Gilmore, but Gilmore's going to fumble the ball, and it's going to get recovered by Isaiah Hodgins of the Giants, so he saves this drive and possibly saves the game for him. Graham Gano kicks another field goal for him. It's 27-26. Dallas still has the lead, but on the next drive, Dexter Lawrence gets to Dak yet again, so they go for the field goal by Brandon Aubrey, but Aubrey's kick, it shanks right. So the Giants are only down by 1 with less than 2 minutes to go. Saquon Barkley tries to run forward, can't quite get a first down. Next play, Jones tries to run with it himself, nearly gets the first down on his own. So third down, they hand it off to Barkley, he gets the first down. Next play, first down, throw for Darius Slayton, nearly picked off. Second down, Jones Throws for Isaiah Hodgins to his right. He connects with him in Dallas territory for a first down. Next play, throw for Paris Campbell over the middle. He's got the first down, right? No, he's just short by a few inches. So they give it to Saquon Barkley, but he's not close enough. So that means they have to rely on the field goal. Graham Gano's kick on the way. And I can finally say this. The New York Giants have won a game in 2023, 29-27. They improved to 1-8. And they head to Washington next week. Dallas completely upset. And they don't have much better of a game next week. They have to take on Carolina in Carolina. I gotta say, this is an impressive week for football here in the Tecmo NFL season. But, of course, to finish up, we're going to take a look at the standings. We'll start with the AFC. In the East, the Bills still have the lead despite their loss to Denver. They're at 7-2. The Jets right behind them at 5-3, and the Patriots right behind them at 5-4. Miami had a bye week this week, so they stay down at the bottom at 3-5. In the AFC North, the Browns, Bengals, and Steelers in a three-way tie for first place. It says here the Browns are in first, but actually if the season were to end today, the Bengals would actually take the division. Meanwhile, the Ravens, they're still in the bottom, but they're catching up. They're creeping up on the rest of the AFC North, so they better be careful. Moving on to the South, the Titans with a win and the Texans with a loss extends the lead Tennessee has, gives them some breathing room. Tennessee at 5-3, Houston at 3-5. Jacksonville still down at 2-6, and Indianapolis down at 2-7. And finally in the AFC West, the Chiefs having a bye week and the Chargers having a loss extends their lead in the West. They're still at 6-2. The Chargers drop to 4-4. Broncos now have third place at 3-5, and the Raiders down in the basement at 3-6. Taking a look at the AFC playoff standings, currently if the season were to end, the Bills and Chiefs would get byes. The Bengals would be taking on the Steelers, and the Titans would be taking on the Browns. But the Jets, Patriots, Chargers, and Ravens, currently the four teams that are right now on the outside looking in, but could still try to sneak into the playoffs. Still plenty of time left to go in this season. Moving on to the NFC in the East, the Cowboys, with their loss, dropped to 6-2. The Commanders had a loss as well, since they're 4-5. Cowboys still have the lead in the NFC East. Eagles had a bye week. They're a half game now behind the Commanders at 3-5. And the Giants, well, they're still in the bottom, but a 1-8, that's a win they can be proud of, especially against a division rival. Meanwhile, in the North, with the Lions' victory and the Packers' defeat, the Lions now have sole lead of the NFC North at 7-1. Green Bay down at 6-2, still ahead of the Vikings, who are in third place at 5-4. The Bears really struggling right now, down at 2-7. Moving on to the South, it's still the Panthers' division to win. They are at 7-1, which puts them a game and a half ahead of the Falcons, who are at 6-3. Tampa Bay and the Saints trailing far behind Atlanta, Tampa Bay at 2-6, and New Orleans at 2-7. And in the NFC West, it's the 49ers division to win right now. They are at 6-2. Seattle, though, trying to catch up to them. They're at 4-4, right behind them. The Rams, though, really need some help if they're going to try and catch up with either San Francisco or Seattle. They're at 2-6, and Arizona all the way down at the bottom at 1-8. Taking a look at the NFC playoff picture, currently the Panthers and Lions would have the bye weeks for the playoffs in the wildcard round. Meanwhile, the Cowboys would be playing the Falcons, and the 49ers would be playing the Packers. And in terms of teams that are in the hunt, trailing behind the wildcard teams, you have the Vikings, Seahawks, Commanders, and Eagles. And that's going to do it for us for this week. Join us on Sunday for our Week 11 game of the week, the Super Bowl 57 rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And join us later on in the week after that for our Week 11 Tecmo Rewind. For all of us here at SVGN, the Sports Video Game Network, I'm your host, Joe, saying good night, everybody.